Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever looked at your net worth and thought, how does my pension factor into all of this? If so, you are not alone. This is easily one of the most common questions I get on this channel from people approaching retirement or people already in retirement. So today we are going to break it down step by step, how you can figure out how your pension fits into your net worth without bogging it down with financial jargon, so you have the tools to do it yourself. And that pension, it might be worth a lot more than you realize. When we talk about net worth, we usually think of things like, what do you have in your 401k, the value of your home or any rental properties you might have, minus any outstanding mortgages. But what about a guaranteed lifetime income, like a pension? Does that count? Absolutely. Maybe you can't sell it, or maybe it doesn't get passed on. Maybe when you log in to check on it, maybe you don't see a total value of it. So for many people, it often gets overlooked, or they simply don't know how to factor it in. Today, we're going to fix that because for many retirees, their pension could be their most valuable asset in retirement. Let's start with this. If you have a pension, you're holding something that many retirees would pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to recreate. Why? Because you have something they don't. A guaranteed income stream for life, independence from stock market ups and downs, and in many cases, cost of living adjustments that help it grow with inflation. That isn't just a benefit, that's a financial foundation. And a pension can do what very few other financial assets can do. Provide you a guaranteed income stream no matter what is happening in the market, no matter what is happening in the economy. That is incredibly rare, and that is incredibly powerful. And there's something else that's just as important, maybe even more so. Research shows that retirees with pensions give themselves more permission to spend. They're less likely to underspend, and they're less likely to stress about every single withdrawal. And it makes sense. Let's say you have $3,000 showing up every single month, regardless of what the market does. Wouldn't you sleep a little bit better at night? Wouldn't you feel a little bit better spending this money? For the vast majority of retirees, Social Security helps to check this box. It is steady and it is reliable. And if you have Social Security and a pension, even better. The peace of mind that comes with this cannot be overstated. A pension provides something powerful. It's the foundation of retirement confidence. It turns retirement from a math problem into something that feels more human, more livable, more secure, and that matters. So yes, your pension absolutely belongs in the net worth conversation. So the only question left is, how do you calculate its value? Well, that's what we're going to do next, step by step. We're going to figure out how to calculate its value in today's dollars, go over which inputs matter, and how even small adjustments to these inputs can make a big difference. To figure out what your pension is worth in today's dollars, we need to calculate the net present value, or NPV, of your pension. Here's the basic idea. A pension is promising you a future stream of income. Maybe it's $30,000 or $40,000 a year, but those future dollars don't have as much value today, and that's because of inflation, opportunity costs, and the time value of money. So to calculate the value of that pension today, we use this formula, where P is the annual pension payment, R is the discount rate, we'll talk about how to pick the right one in a moment, and N is the number of years you expect to receive the pension. So let's say you're going to receive a pension of $40,000 a year starting at the age of 65, and you plan to receive it for 25 years, until the age of 90. We'll assume a discount rate of 4%, which represents a conservative rate of return you would otherwise be able to receive on money. Here's how it would look once we put our numbers into the formula. And that would inevitably work out to a pension worth roughly $603,000 in today's dollars. So essentially what we're saying with this formula is that's roughly the equivalent of having about $600,000 otherwise invested for your future retirement. That's a huge piece of the retirement puzzle and why it should be calculated in your net worth. Now let's talk about the key inputs because small changes here really make a big difference. P is the annual pension payment. Here you simply take the gross amount you expect to receive every single year. If it's variable, just use a reasonable average. When we're talking about the inputs, this is probably the input you have the most confidence with. N is the number of years of payment. This is an estimate on how long you expect to receive pension payments, and there's no exact science here. This is a best guess. It's basically saying, how long do I expect to live? You can use life expectancy tables. The Social Security Administration has one. You can use conservative estimates. Maybe you want to say 90 or 95. Maybe you want to go all the way up to 100. It really depends on your personal situation. For this factor, you're going to want to consider your overall health. Do you have longevity in your family, or whether you're really treating your pension as a core retirement asset? Simply put, the longer you live, the more valuable your pension. More years means more payments, and that's going to translate to a higher net present value. Ultimately, you don't want to be too aggressive or too conservative here. You want to do your best to get a realistic estimate, but that will always be a guess. And finally, R, the discount rate. This is the number that adjusts for the fact that money today is more valuable than money in the future. It reflects inflation, opportunity cost, what you could earn elsewhere, and risk, whether that future income is guaranteed or not. But here's the key. There is no one single correct discount rate. It's an estimate based on what you're comparing your pension to. Essentially, this is just a tool to figure out how your pension fits into your broader financial life. It's just your best guess. It doesn't have to be perfect. Here's a simple guide to help you choose a rate that fits your situation. If you're comparing this to, say, a safe investment like treasuries or annuities, maybe you use a discount rate like 2.5% or 3.5%. If you're using a balanced growth fund, maybe you go 4 or 5%. Or if you're comparing it to stock market returns, maybe you go 6 or 7% or even higher. For most pensions, especially if you're comparing it to something like Social Security, an annuity, or a bond ladder, using a discount rate of 3 or 4% is a really good starting point. But make no mistake about it, the discount rate you use matters, because even a small change in your discount rate can change the present value of your pension by tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. For instance, if you use a 3% discount rate, a $40,000 a year pension that lasts for 25 years could be worth over $670,000. However, at a 5% discount rate, it drops to about $560,000. But there's no point in obsessing over using the right discount rate. Make sure you use one that you're comfortable with, one that reflects your investing philosophy and your risk tolerance, and maybe use a couple different numbers, and that way you get a range. Again, it's not about having the perfect number, it's about getting a reasonable estimate to factor into your net worth. Now you understand the basic formula. You know how to estimate your payment amount, the number of years of payments, and a reasonable estimate for your discount rate. But now let's consider one more layer, because this can make a big difference: inflation protection. Many pensions, especially those for public sector employees, offer cost of living adjustments, or COLA, where the pension grows every single year with an attempt to keep up with inflation. And that matters big time, because a pension that grows every single year is significantly more valuable than one that stays flat. And the math shows that. So let's walk through it. Here's how the formula changes once you consider COLA. A lot of the elements are the same, even if it looks more complex. P is the first year's pension payment amount. R is the discount rate, same as before. G is the annual cost of living adjustment, or COLA, and N is the number of years you'll be receiving the pension. All of these other inputs are familiar. We've just introduced one new one, which is the annual cost of living adjustment, or the growth rate. So let's go back to our earlier example, where you're receiving $40,000 for the first year starting at the age of 65. You expect the payments to last 25 years until the age of 90 using a 4% discount rate, and now we'll assume a 2% annual cost of living adjustment. Using the updated formula, the net present value becomes almost $800,000. So instead of having a pension that was worth roughly $600,000, a flat pension, now that we factor in a cost of living adjustment, we have a pension that's worth roughly $800,000 in today's dollars. That's roughly a $200,000 increase just because of the cost of living adjustments. So if you have a pension that has an annual cost of living adjustment, that is incredibly valuable, and yes, it is absolutely worth factoring into your calculation. So let's try to put this into perspective. If your pension is worth $600,000 or $800,000 in terms of today's dollars, based on the discount rate you're comfortable using, how long you expect to live, if it has a cost of living adjustment, the real question becomes, how much would I otherwise have to have invested on my own to replace this pension? Let's say you want to generate $40,000 per year for life, just like your pension. Using a conservative withdrawal rate of around 4%, which many financial planners use as a guideline, you'd need a nest egg of at least $1 million. That's right, to replace your pension with a portfolio that could reliably generate this level of income and keep up with inflation, because safe rates of withdrawal have inflation protection built in, you likely might need a 7-figure portfolio. That is why a pension is not just a perk. It's a foundational asset that dramatically improves your financial outlook in retirement. The more guaranteed income streams you have, like Social Security and a pension, the less you have to rely on your investments to cover your basic expenses. And that's a big deal. It lowers your income gap, it reduces sequence of returns risk, and it gives you more freedom to invest the rest of your portfolio for long-term growth or legacy goals. So even if your IRA or your 401k don't show a 7-figure balance, your pension may already be doing the heavy lifting for you. So yes, your pension absolutely matters when you're talking about your net worth, and now you know how to factor it into that calculation. Do you have a pension? How are you utilizing it when you're planning your retirement? Leave your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Or if you know someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. That went well. Almost fell off. Okay, you can't see the mic. It's black and it blends in with my shirt, so I just like to make sure it's out of view. Exactly how to figure out that was a crummy place to mess up. Your money is not as worth as much. Whoa, clean it up. Oh, I really do try to break it down simply and not have a word salad. I really do try. I hope that comes across. Valuable today, not as worth as much money today. Let's just phrase it like that. Is that better? Not. I don't know. Considering that when calculating your present's value. Your pension's value, I'm sorry.